If you were alone in a room with someone who willingly went through gay conversion therapy, what would you ask?
Hey,
Hi,
you feeling good?
I'm feeling great.
Who are you?
My name's Chris.
Would you mind telling me a little bit about yourself?
I'm 40 years old. I live in Los Angeles. I was born and raised in Canada. I came to the United States to study ballet and dancing, and I was a professional dancer for about 12 years.
What was the moment that made you feel being gay was wrong? Can you take me back there?
I'd struggled with that my whole life. I can't pinpoint an exact moment because I think I knew that I was gay from a young age since I was like 4 or 5. I always felt like it was not right, because I grew up in the church in a conservative family, and they had certain expectations of genders and of our roles, and like guys don't like guys, they like girls. As far as the decision to go into conversion therapy, that was a decision I made when I was about 19 years old.
And what was the deciding factor for you to go to conversion therapy at 19?
When I was 19, it was around the time that 9/11 happened, and I feel like a lot of people felt very lost and felt very scared, and there was a lot of like uncertainty in the air. Yeah. And when that happened, I was living far away from my family. I was still like relatively new to being on my own, and so I was just desperately seeking a sense of comfort and a sense of like security and just like someone to just protect me. And so I thought I needed to go back to the church, to my faith, but I felt like my homosexuality, being gay was holding me back from having, a relationship with God. So I decided at that time to go into conversion therapy. That's when I spent 2 years in ex-gay ministry. I don't look at it so much as conversion therapy. I look at it as like healing sexual brokenness. People sometimes are just born gay, and sometimes I do think that they're gay based on things that have happened to them in their life.
Are you a devout Christian?
I am a Christian. I consider it one of the most important things in my life. I believe in God. I believe that Jesus is the Son of God. I believe that the only way to God and to heaven is through his Son, Jesus Christ. So I believe like that school of thought.
Mm-hmm. Can you give me a little bit of background on maybe what your childhood was like, upbringing?
I grew up in a really conservative family. We were part of the Christian Missionary Alliance, really active in church, and my mom and my dad probably had more concern for me, like, they still loved me, but they didn't like the fact that I was gay. I think my family still kind of has that attitude, but there's no tension there. Like, I think my family's still pretty accepting of me, and they still love me regardless.
What did the gay conversion therapy consist of? Was it just counseling sessions? Was it overnight stays or anything like that?
It was one-on-one counseling as well as group meetings. It was like a faith-based program. So I found it beneficial. I thought that it was good because I like the one-on-one counseling, and I like that, these were therapists that are, helping you work through things that have happened in your life. Mm-hmm. Nothing really traumatizing happened to me sexually as a child, but there's other things in my life that they sort of feel like probably maybe made me gay.
I don't know if you feel comfortable saying, all the things that went on, because I know that they do shock therapy and different tactics. Would you say that there was a form of abuse? And then if there were abuse, were there any minors involved? Because I know that a lot of teens, young adults get sent there. So would you say that it was child abuse in a way?
That's one of the misconceptions with conversion therapy, that, when you sign up for conversion therapy, you're going for shock treatment, you're signing up for a lobotomy. Someone would have their license taken away so quickly if they...
Well, what about mental abuse?
In my experience, there was never any type of demonizing of any behavior. It's based on love. It's based in love. Like that's what their whole mission is.
It's based on love, but heterosexual love, correct? Not like the quote, love is love. I don't think that would apply in this instance, because they're not saying love is love. They're saying love is a man and a woman.
They're trying to work on self-love and forming your identity and who you are as a person. It should be in Christ. It shouldn't be in who you have sex with. So just because they have sex with a guy, or they have some type of intimacy with a man, or get drunk and have sex, or kiss, or whatever that physical act may be, that doesn't mean necessarily that they're gay, because I think that...
Damn straight. The definition of conversion therapy, to my knowledge, is, you are converting someone who is homosexual urges to heterosexual urges, mm-hmm. man and woman, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So just... to be clear, would that be your definition of conversion therapy? From gay to straight?
There's this obsession in our culture to just to know the answer to those questions. This obsession of putting labels on ourselves and each other. I'm saying that it's not always black and white.
Do you want to elaborate on what you specifically got out of going through gay conversion therapy?
I don't know, it just kind of helped me see sexuality sort of differently. And I think that maybe it wasn't necessarily the best thing for me, but I don't think that it's good to suppress that or to prevent anyone else from, exploring that if they think that it would help them. So maybe some people, they have just a smaller attraction towards men. So they go into conversion therapy because they kind of want to work on those attractions so they can have a relationship with a woman and a sex life with their wife and lead that kind of life. So those are factors that come into play when you're defining who you are sexually, you know?
Would you do it again?
Possibly. I think I'm at a weird place in my life where I would say that I'm gay, just based on the fact that I like to have sex with men. I left conversion therapy in my early 20s, and then after that I went into the world of adult entertainment, and I did porn and escorting and traveled the world for about 8 years.
Do you mind me asking what kind of porn you did?
Yeah, I did gay porn, and I did over 150 movies.
So does that go against what the conversion therapy was about? Like, did they say being gay was wrong?
It's very complicated. If you figure out some time in your life that, okay, I'm gay, I like sex with the same sex, I'm gonna live that life, I'm gonna get married to, a man, and I'm a man. We all end up in that place for different reasons, and it's not the same for everyone.
Queerness, homosexuality, this like spectrum of sexuality, the spectrum of gender, do you think that's a bad thing that we're pushing for the normalization of those things?
This whole idea that, it's all about love. Love is love, man. Like, just love who you want to love. It's like, I feel like that's the problem, and that's toxic. And I feel like
Why?
Because love is love. Okay, so here's the thing. You have a girl who's like madly in love with this boyfriend that beats the shit out of her all the time. And, she stays with him for years. She keeps trying to leave him, she can't. It's like this, toxic up relationship. Love is love. It's just about love. It's like, no, love is a feeling. And I think that you cannot base your life and your decisions on a feeling, because feelings change all the time. Just because you label something as love doesn't mean that it's right. And that's what I feel like there's this push to do. It's like,
so you think being gay is wrong? That's what it makes me sound like, that you're comparing homosexuality to an abusive boyfriend, when I think those two things are different.
I can only speak for me because I'm one gay person. I do not speak for all the gay people.
Right.
At first, yes, when you are coming out in your sexuality, it is something that you're struggling with. It's something that, you're battling. You don't really know, okay, do I like girls? Do I like guys? I don't know what I like. My family don't like me. It's all these different emotions that you have. Mm-hmm. And then you got the world going on. You got the world's opinions. You got everybody down your throat asking what you want to do. And, when you finally do come out and you realize, okay, this is what I like. This is who I love. It feels like a weight is lifted off your shoulders. If you can't love yourself, you don't love nobody else. So for me, being gay is being proud of who you are, what you represent.
So yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I just think this push in the gay community and the LGBT community, it's become very militant, and it's become very oppressive in the way that they think. It's like, if you don't believe these certain beliefs or these certain values or morals or whatever, then you're sort of like rejected from the gay community. And that's where I kind of feel like I'm in right now, and that's what I don't like. And I feel like it's happening more and more to people.
Something that I think is kind of doom and gloom right now in the world are the laws that specifically, especially in the United States, that target queer people. In Florida with the Don't Say Gay bill, and in Texas with the bills trying to attack trans children. Like, how do you feel about like those laws, and kind of like the laws about conversion therapy, that people are trying to like outlaw conversion therapy?
So I believe that this whole ban on conversion therapy, I feel like it's a huge waste of time. I feel like it's sort of being used as a distraction. The thing is, conversion therapy is something that some people are willingly choosing to go into because they're not content with like their sexuality or the way things are going in their life. Not everyone was there because they struggled with same-sex desires. There was like men that had been cheating on their wife, and they had obsessions or addictions to porn. So they want to work on these issues, Mm-hmm. And I think what's even worse than conversion therapy is this active push to like ban conversion therapy, because I think the government is using that as a way to suppress the voice of like the church or certain therapists, and not allowing them to say what they want to say and believe what they want to believe. And I feel like that's even worse than conversion therapy, is trying to control what people say and people think. People should be able to explore that if they want and decide if it's right for them, because I feel everyone's situation is different.
If you could press a button and become straight, would you?
Yeah, probably.
Why?
So I'm 40, almost 41. Things aren't necessarily bad in my life, but I feel like I've kind of done this whole gay thing, and if I could change it, I'd be like, yeah, change it, because I'd like to see what it would be like to be straight and have a wife and have kids.
Yeah, I'll share that. I did some form of conversion therapy myself. Mm-hmm. For years, ever since I was a kid, I prayed that God take this sin away. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until I got to a place of real depression, similar to you, except my answer was to lean into who I am. And I was laying in my bed depressed. My skin started changing colors terribly. That's how stressed I was. And I heard the voice of God say, get up and be who I called you to be. whoever is going to love you will love you, and whoever doesn't just won't. And still after that, after I came out, I could not answer the question of whether I was going to go to hell.
Yeah.
I actually asked a group of ministers who were proud queer ministers, imams, priests in the Buddhist community, and I asked, how do you all know you made the right decision? How do you all know that you won't spend an eternity in hell? And unfortunately, not many of them had an answer.
You know, people debate whether or not being gay is the result of nature or nurture. You know, I feel like it's an ongoing debate because we really don't know. And I think that it doesn't matter because I feel like even if it's nature, then if we're gay because it's a result of all this bad stuff that's happened to us and things that were beyond our control, then why would God punish us for that? I don't think he will.
I was born gay. Nothing bad happened to me, no traumatic experience. And what I learned in how being gay became the biggest sin in the world is because of messaging.
Right.
The word homosexual did not get into the Bible until 1946. You talked about building a relationship with God, and you felt being gay kept you from that relationship. What changed?
At that time, I still viewed being gay and homosexuality as a sin, and I felt like sin is what separates us from God. What changed? I came back to my faith, I would say, about 3 or 4 years ago, and it's been a positive experience. And I've sort of made peace with this whole idea that I have to change my sexuality, my sexual identity, if I'm going to be a Christian, because I don't feel like it's necessarily as big of a deal as people make it out to be in our culture today. And I don't think that it's as big of a deal to God. There's this push in our culture to like be obsessed with like, am I gay, am I straight? And then if I'm gay, I have to have gay sex and have a gay lifestyle and like, do these things. And it's not necessarily the case. I just need to maybe chill out and kind of let things happen organically and not stress about, what label they have or what their sexuality is. Hi, Chris, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming in. Yeah, sure, of course. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.